morning. I am John Miller, the founding attorney of Rock Solid Law, and it is, at the time I'm recording this, January of 2021. Kind of cool. I established my firm in 1991, so I've now been practicing independently for 30 years. How about that? And it took all those years for the folks at the beaches to decide that I am the best of the island, which I'm not seeing anybody these days too much, except for kind of one-on-ones in the office and very, very small meetings. So if any of you on the call are people that voted for us as the best, we really appreciate it. Love being a part of our community in Northeast Florida, Jacksonville, and of course, all the beaches, cities. We're located in Jacksonville Beach. It's a new year, always a time when we think about our lives and what ways we can improve it in the coming year. I'd like to start. I saw a quote on Facebook just this week, and a friend, a Facebook friend and a real life friend actually said, quote, "Just curious, do y'all have your estate plans in order? Not kidding. If you don't, please do it yesterday." We're still in a pandemic. This post was not sponsored by a lawyer, by the way. I love that last tag. I love that so much I shared it because for those of you that have been with us on the journey for a while, that's a message that we really like to put out. And then the comment below for that previous comment about doing it yesterday, that was my favorite, came from a guy who was a finalist at the Wimbledon tennis tournament and won 4 ATP titles during his career. And he wrote, "Most useful post I've seen in a while and worth acting on now." I guess I could end the webinar right now, right? But I won't. You've never known a lawyer that could talk that briefly, right? And while we try to provide a different experience here at Rock Solid Law, I definitely am an attorney, and I do care about getting the message out that folks need to complete their estate plan, whichever one fits their family, their situation, or whatever's good for you, really, or the folks you know. So I subtitled this particular webinar, "You Say You Want a Resolution." Little tip of the cap to the Beatles there. I don't want a revolution, but our lives have evolved quite a bit this year because of COVID. You know, we have sadly in America lost nearly 400,000 people to this deadly disease this last year. And statistics have shown, you know, I taught the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University class, facilitated that. And Dave would tell you that 80% of people do not have even a simple will or estate plan, and or have one that's so outdated that it's as good as useless. So if 80% of 400,000 people did not have an estate plan, that means that 320,000 people are going through the probate courts, which are going to be overwhelmed as a result, particularly of this pandemic. And so things are going to slow down even more. The statistics show the diminution in the value of the estate passed to those you love is tremendous through the probate process. And that's just the money side. That doesn't even mention the frustration, the time delay, the lack of access to the money and the other assets, nor the high likelihood, we see it time and time again, that there will be litigation, there will be fights, and the person's legacy is affected as a result of everybody fighting over whatever it was they left behind. So you say you want a resolution, let's make one you can keep. I am trying something different this year. My New Year's resolutions typically include some weight loss. That's my ongoing battle. And I'm hoping that I keep it this year. And so what did I do? I took it down to bite-sized steps. I have not an overall goal. Well, I do have an overall goal, but I have a goal for every 7 days. And I'm hoping by taking those small steps that I will eventually achieve my big goals. So how does that apply to estate planning? Well, when we consult with somebody, when we have a discovery meeting, we understand where that person, that family, that couple maybe is today. And we talk about goals and aspirations and hopes for the future of your life, your family's lives, the future generations in your lives. And we then say, okay, here is where the journey goes, right? Here's where you are today. Here's where you want to go eventually. How far do you want to go right now? We don't have to conquer the whole beast in one effort. And in fact, an estate plan is an ongoing, living, breathing proposition that we're going to revisit periodically as there are changes in your life or in the future of your life. So don't be overwhelmed by the magnitude of the project, right? Don't be afraid that you have to get all the way there in one leap. Let's at least get you to good before we get you to great, okay? And that's sort of like the example I gave you of me taking small weight losses, literally in 1.5-pound increments, which will equal over a period of months to my goal. You can check back with me at bikini season and see how I did. I promise that I will not be on the web or anywhere else in a bikini, so perish the thought. So we want to examine where you are and where you need to go and talk about how far we want to get as that New Year's resolution. Let's implement a resolution you can accomplish, because you can do this. I do it literally every day, every week of my law practice, which is now in its 37th year. Okay. People are accomplishing this. And one of my big goals, I try to be kind of a different lawyer than the usual standard stereotype of what a lawyer is supposed to be. And we try to make this process, and we succeed in making this process painless, and in many instances, really fun, because we're going to talk about the book of your life, writing the story of what you've done and what you hope for the future. So let's implement your personal family values through an estate plan. And let's take it step by step. I love that song from the Rudolph movie. We're just past the holidays. Put one step in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking out the door, or across the floor out the door. Can't remember it exactly, but you get the idea. So has anybody ever told you that by continuing to procrastinate, you're putting your children's lives and the future generations of your family's lives in jeopardy? It's the absolute truth. I can show you statistics. When we complete plans, people have typically procrastinated decades in getting this done. And every day during that decade, you are putting the future of those you love in jeopardy. Now, I told you we're a little bit different, right? So people talk about estate planning like it's about death, like it's about a will, like it's about a trust, or how about a living will, or any number of other things. It's not. Those are tools. Those are tools we use in the process to accomplish your goals. Estate planning is about writing the story of your life, your historic life, your heroic life, with an emphasis on what your goals and values are. The other view that we're just talking about death, we're talking about stuff, we're talking about a pile of documents, is like looking at a race car, a beautiful automobile. Think of your favorite car and wonder when and how the bolts were made. It's like looking at a masterpiece painting. Who's your favorite painter? I love Monet. I love Degas. I love Salvador Dali. I love Renoir. I love a lot of paintings. Uh, it's like looking at that masterpiece. Bring one to mind. And instead of examining the painting for all its beauty, it's like wondering where the paint was bought. Okay? So let's get a broader view of estate planning. And listen, I'm not throwing any stones because if you live in glass houses, you should not. I have a 12-year-old and a 6-year-old. My son came second. His name is Ian. With fortune, he will carry our family name into future generations. When our daughter was born, a little while after that, my wife reminded me that we needed to get our estate planning done because, like the cobbler's children who have no shoes, we didn't have one. So after a little bit of reminding from my dear Krista, I got our estate plan done. And then, of course, a few years later, 6, we had our son come along. And my dear wife said, don't you think we really ought to update our estate plan to include our son? And I said, yes, you're right. And I went to work. And I went to work the next day. And I went to work for 2 years where I put the needs of my clients ahead of my own. And we never did change our estate plan. So for 2 years, the fruit of my loins, the scion of my future family tree, the carrier of my name, my son, was referenced in our estate planning as, ready, quote, all afterborn children, end quote. Now I'm here to tell you that it would have been effective if we had died back then for him to inherit, but it's not optimal that we left it that way. We fixed it. We fixed it 4 years ago. So back to good. Why do I tell you that story about myself? Because I want you to know that if you've procrastinated for a long, long time, you're not alone. You're in very good company. In fact, a greater percentage of attorneys do not have their estate plan done than of average citizens that are not average citizens that are non-attorneys, right? So more attorneys procrastinate than anybody, than in the rest of the population. I'm sure there's some other profession that does worse, but I don't know which one they are. So, as I told you, I've had a wonderful and long career and look forward to many more years of that. And we had our son and daughter later. We're a little bit older. So what's my value? What do I really care about? Don't get me wrong. I'm planning on the last third of my life being awesome. But what I really care about is leaving my kiddos, my chillin', better off than I was. So that's how my estate plan is shaded. But that's about me. It's not for me to decide what you care about, but everybody cares about something. Everybody cares about something, even if it's just themselves. I'm here to help you make whatever it is you care about a reality. So remember, this is about writing the ultimate chapters of your heroic life. So you will be celebrated. So your legacy shines on in future generations, not fought over. Because that's what happens when you don't plan. That's what happens if this becomes your resolution and you don't take action. So what can an estate plan be about? What can an estate plan be about? It can be about your heirs. It can be about your legacy. And I have found in my many years of practice that most of us care about something bigger than ourselves. A lot of times, part of the discovery, the journey of discovery, is to find out what that is for you and how you would like to prepare your estate to take care of it. It could be a charitable interest. It could be your grandchildren. It could be taking care of you for the remainder of your life. All those things will be accomplished in an estate plan. Writing your story through these documents, expressing your values, is what we call at Rock Solid Law, showing your love to those you treasure. Doesn't matter who you treasure or what. We can help you on that journey. And we can help you start that journey immediately, and we can help you carry that journey on throughout your life. Estate planning is about keeping all or as much as possible of what you have earned to share with whom or what you want. It's about deciding that you are only going to pay the mandatory taxes or whether you choose to pay the voluntary ones too. You see, there are two tax codes in America, those for the informed, that for the informed, and that for the uninformed. We believe that our clients should pay their taxes. We believe they should only pay the mandatory ones and not voluntary ones too. And in planning, we can avoid those involuntary taxes and pass those funds on to the people you truly care about. We help you maximize your prosperity during your life. And yes, it's how you share your life's abundance with those you treasure after you are gone. How and when you want, all at the least expense possible. We also help avoid unintentional disinheritance. It happens regularly. If you don't take care of your plan, sometimes the person that you most want to inherit does not, because you fall back on what the law says and where the law says your stuff should go. And even though I'm a lawyer, it's my belief that you should reflect your choices, not the choice of the legislature, in our case of the state of Florida, who may or may not be aligned with where you would like your stuff to go. There's also an asset protection component. We're getting into a little more sophisticated planning at this point, but where we can protect against lawsuits, liens, judgments, and your future son-in-law. One of my favorite stories, another attorney lived it, I can only tell it secondhand, is consulting with a client who said, "I hate my son-in-law." And he looked at her and he said, "But your daughter's only 6. And she said, "I hate him already," right? Nobody's good enough for my children. Well, that's a different question. But usually folks do not want the divorced or divorcing spouse, future spouse of their child, to inherit what they have worked for. They want it instead to go to their own child. And we can help protect against that. Why is estate planning important? Look it up. Look it up. In America, land of opportunity, we all have the opportunity to go from rags to riches, and many, many families do. But stats show that typically the journey from rags to riches and back to rags happens typically in three generations. The families that plan for future generations are the ones that succeed in breaking that trend. Ever heard that before? Isn't that amazing? It's a sad fact that 80% of Americans go through probate. Think about that. Walk down the street, 8 out of 10 people you see have everything they have going before a court, an arm of the government, to decide where their stuff, that they don't use, is going after they're gone. And listen, all things considered, statistics show that there's a shrinkage of 60%, 60% in an estate that passes through probate and isn't planned properly. Isn't that something? Our goal is to strengthen your family tree, not let it get burned down in a litigious probate process. For those of you that haven't done anything yet, your first problem is that nothing has been done to alleviate the excessive cost, delay, and publicity of probate. Let's tackle that first. That can be step one, if that's as far as you were ready to go on your journey. But you got to fight for your family. You got to fight for yourself. You got to fight for what you value, because nobody else can do it for you. We're here to help, but we're an aid. We're a tool. We help you on that journey. We're a guide. Think of us as the Sherpa that gets you up that mountain. And how fun it will be when we get to the top together, or even an intermediate, beautiful, scenic overpass. And we can get there very, very quickly. would it be important to preserve what you have earned and pass it to whomever you choose? That's the question I would like to leave you with today. There are an array of tools, devices, and methodologies to accomplish these goals. There are many paths to get to that scenic overlook, and we will help you choose the one that's best for you. A little about me, for those of you that don't know, I said I've been practicing now 30 years independently and specialize in estate planning, real estate, and representing small business owners. A neat thing has happened in the last year or so. I've been invited to be a member of a small national collaborative, a team which is arguably unsurpassed in excellence in estate planning in the United States of America. It's a real thrill that they invited me in. It is not something I paid for, in case you're curious. They identified me as someone they wanted to work with. And so I have access to some of the greatest legal minds in the country for any issue that might come up. The clientele of this group ranges from regular mom and pop folks all the way up to a former president of the United States, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, into the highest levels of accomplishment in our United States. So our team helps you keep the money you've earned and share your money with whom you want. So my question to you is, do you have the resolve? Will you make a resolution to get this journey accomplished in 2021? If you choose to do so, it would be our honor to help you on that journey and to thank you for tuning in today. I would like to offer you a 1-hour discovery meeting with me. So you'll actually have an estate planning lawyer in the room meeting with you, and I will waive the usual $425 fee to thank you for taking your time to be with me this morning. I didn't mention before, but I will mention now that there is a chat screen, and we already have a couple of people chatting on it, which I appreciate. All are welcome. It is approximately here on your screen. If somebody has a question, I would be happy to answer it on here as long as it's general. If it's a very specific question, I typically reserve saving those to our meeting so that we're not talking about privileged information online. As all of our webinars are, this will be recorded. So it's pretty much online forever. Any questions this morning while you're thinking about it? That quote at the beginning was just curious. Do y'all have your estate plans in order? Not kidding. If you don't, please do it yesterday. We're still in a pandemic. That would be my message to you guys if you haven't completed this simple task. And if you choose for us to assist you, we would be delighted to help you along the way. If you want to work with somebody else, please just go get it done. It's such an important step that I would be happy for you if you accomplished it, even if you choose not to work with us. Listen, it's a New Year's resolution. It's a new year. Have some resolve. Make a resolution. Let's move forward together. And pardon me, as I've said before, isn't it time you take action? Well, I don't see any questions, so thanks to everybody for tuning in this morning. I really appreciate you all. We will have another subject next week, and I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you then. Thanks so much. This is John Miller, Rock Solid Law. Isn't it time we put your New Year's resolution into effect?